All right, today's date is the 26th of February 2017. My name is Cedra Vitale. I'm an immigration attorney in private practice in the Boston area. And this video is to talk about the Safe Third Country Agreement between the United States and Canada. So this agreement is a thing that basically says, as between us two countries, someone who comes to either of them and wants to request asylum has to apply in whichever one they get to first. So what this means is that if you are living in the United States and you're from some other country like Somalia or something, you're afraid of persecution in your home country, you're in the US, and then you go to a border crossing to Canada and ask for asylum, they're going to say, well, no, under this agreement, you're supposed to apply in the United States. So it can yield the result of you being denied the opportunity to apply for asylum in Canada because you already arrived in this safe third country of the United States. So Amnesty International and various legal professors and advocates and whatnot have been advocating that the agreement be suspended or otherwise revisited to determine if the United States still is a safe third country, if the agreement should still be honored, or if it should be dissolved. Because of this requirement under the agreement to say, no, you're supposed to file in whichever country you landed in first, if you are that person from Somalia and you fear persecution in that country, and then you lived in the United States for 2 years, and then you go to the Canadian border crossing and say, I want asylum, and then you get turned back, it is the prospect of getting turned back that is leading to people to cross the border at undesignated border crossing points. So there's the people who cross the border unlawfully without documents to enter Canada, in much the same way that people might cross the border from Mexico to here unlawfully. The reason they try and do that is because there's a similar statute. I can't tell you exactly what it says. I'm not a Canadian immigration law practitioner. But there's a statute in the United States that says if you are an alien and you are in the United States physically present, you can file for asylum. And trust me, there are plenty of nuances associated with implementing that statute that stop you from applying for asylum. Nonetheless, there's a similar statute in Canada. So if you are physically present in Canada, so if you make it across, as opposed to getting turned away at the border, then you could still file for asylum. And that's why you're seeing footage or photos of people crossing at these non-designated border crossing points, and then they're getting arrested by Canadian law enforcement on the other side, and ultimately getting put into the Canadian version of a removal proceeding, an immigration proceeding, to determine, should you be granted some kind of benefit and allowed to stay, or are you eligible for asylum, whatever it is you might try and seek from Canada. And so the Safe Third Country Agreement, looked at this way, is actually increasing the number of people who are trying to cross unlawfully and putting themselves in harm's way by doing so. There were, I think, 2 men who nearly got frostbite because they tried to walk across into Manitoba and they got lost. And so they were wandering around at night in the cold, and they suffered physical harm as a result. I don't know what the effect will be of the memoranda that were released within the past week by the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security that do appear to affect the ability of people to request asylum when they are at the border of the United States as arriving aliens. And then, of course, the overall zeitgeist of American attitudes towards immigration and all the hateful rhetoric and the attitudes being exhibited by ICE officers towards people may strengthen the argument that Amnesty International and other advocates have to hold the Safe Third Country Agreement between the U.S. and Canada, at least temporarily, in abeyance. We'll have to see what happens.